With the WWE holding its King and Queen of the Ring event this upcoming weekend, as well as having the finals of each respective tournament, I thought what a great opportunity to go ahead and create a creative video in which I include a tier list of each former King of the Ring. That's right, all the way going from 1993, from the very first pay-per-view event, all the way to 2021's winner, Xavier Woods. Now, don't get mistaken, of course, there have been King of the Ring winners prior to the 1993 event, but for this video, we're going to focus on those that were at the pay-per-view itself. In this video, we're not going to be ranking who was the best individual or the best wrestler. Rather, we're going to see how the WWE managed to capitalize on these winners and how they were able to finish out their career or carry on their career for those who are still active after winning the King of the Ring. So, for example, Booker T was a multiple-time World Heavyweight Champion heading into the 2006 King of the Ring, so we're not going to include what he had done prior, but rather what he was able to achieve afterward. And if you're new to this YouTube channel, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to follow more pro wrestling content as we try to upload daily content and introduce you guys to new concepts such as the Raw and SmackDown reviews, the J Area podcast, as well as fun and creative videos like this one here today. About that, let's go ahead and jump into the tier listing. So here we have our single-use tier list, as you can see at the very top of the screen, and we'll begin at 1993 with Bret the Hitman Hart. He was the inaugural winner of the pay-per-view version of the King of the Ring event. At this point, Bret Hart's already won the WWE Championship, but he defeats Bam Bam Bigelow in the finals of the 93 tournament, and following that, he would enter a feud with Owen Hart, losing to him at WrestleMania 10, but because of a win at the 1994 Royal Rumble event, he would secure a championship opportunity at WrestleMania 10 as well. He would defeat Yokozuna and would go on to have a title for multiple times, as a fact, 5-time WWE champion, and of course have great matches against the likes of The Undertaker and Stone Cold Steve Austin. But what they were initially able to do with Bret Hart is push him to the moon. I mean, this guy, arguably the greatest of all time. He is the excellence of execution for a reason. And for that, I'm going to go ahead and put Bret the Hitman Hart S tier. I think it's hard to argue with the resume that he was able to accomplish and the wins that he was able to rack up against top tier talent. So for that reason, we're going to go ahead and give Bret Hart S tier. The 1994 winner, Owen Hart, who became the King of the Hearts because of his King of the Ring win, would go on to win the Intercontinental Championship and Tag Team Championships, as well as a Slammy Award winner to his name. He wasn't able to achieve the same success as his brother Bret Hart, and unfortunately we did lose Owen Hart at a very young age. It was 1999, the Over the Edge pay-per-view event, a very infamous moment in pro wrestling history. What the WWE failed to do with Owen Hart was push him as that main event talent. Now, he was a part of the WWE for an additional 5 years after his King of the Ring win. I don't feel like they capitalized him as much as they could have. He was a top-tier heel talent, and when you come to terms of in-ring ability, he is very much at the top of that list. But because of the inability to push him to the main elite of the roster, I'm going to give Owen Hart a B tier, because aside from what he was able to achieve with his brother, take out the Bret Hart aspect of it all, you're going to find little moments in his career like the Blue Blazer, obviously his moments with the Nation, his feud with DX, but I just feel like they didn't capitalize as much as they could have with Owen Hart. And now we reach the 1995 winner, Mabel. It's a very infamous year in WWE. Most people would associate it with being the darkest year in WWE history. Mabel would win the tournament and gain a title opportunity against Diesel at that year's SummerSlam. Following that, he didn't really do that much of note until 1999 when he joins the Ministry of Darkness. Aside from that, he becomes the gimmick of Viscera, the world's largest love machine, and then Big Daddy V. I still find myself questioning why Mabel was selected. Obviously, they wanted to go with the big boy. They wanted to go with the big man, and that's fine. But when you have a guy like The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels in that very same tournament, you had the opportunity to have one of the best stretches in King of the Ring history with Bret Hart, Owen Hart, Shawn or Taker, Austin, and then Triple H. That's ridiculous. But for this list alone, unfortunately, Mabel will be on the D tier. The 1996 winner, Stone Cold Steve Austin, would have a promo of a lifetime at the conclusion of this tournament, as he would deliver the Austin 316 promo that would propel him into superstardom. After this event, the rest is pretty much history because he would go on to have a feud with Bret the Hitman Hart, resulting in the 1997 match of the year in many people's book at WrestleMania 13 in the submission match. Following that, he would begin a run with the WWE as a multiple-time world champion and the clear face and leader of the Attitude Era. With that being said, it's no argument that Stone Cold Steve Austin is definitely on the Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling, which leads me to this easy decision. Stone Cold Steve Austin is an S-tier King of the Ring. And then in 1997, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, better known as Triple H, would emerge victorious from that year's King of the Ring tournament. Now, it's a well-known fact that Triple H was supposed to win the 1996 event, but because of the curtain call event between him and his friends in the Clique, that would delay it by a year. In 97, he would defeat Mankind in the finals, and Triple H, I mean, look at him now. He's literally running the biggest professional wrestling company, really. And it's at a point where it's the hottest it has ever been. But you look at the accomplishments alone. In 97, he wins the event. Going forward, he joins Shawn Michaels in China and creates D-Generation X, earning a European title win, going over with the Intercontinental Championship, and then feeding into the main event scene, winning the WWE Championship multiple times over. He would revitalize the World Heavyweight Championship on Monday Night Raw, but without going too far into the future because he would be a wrestler for the next 2 decades. In that immediate span of winning King of the Ring, he skyrocketed. In 1997, 2 years later, WWE Champion, perennial favorite. Because of how soon guys like a Stone Cold and guys like a Bret Hart were able to jump to the main roster, or rather the main event scene, that's why I put him in S tier. But for Triple H, it did take him 2 years. He did have a substantial push in the singles category when he came to the mid-card. But for the purpose of this tier list, I'm going to put him in A, because it did take him a couple years to finally win the WWE Championship and get into that perennial main event slot. In 1998, Ken Shamrock would emerge victorious from that year's King of the Ring tournament. And again, he had faced The Rock in this tournament. Come to think, if The Rock had won that tournament and the stretch of names that it would have been. Ken Shamrock, most notably known for the Intercontinental Championship and having a run with the corporation, later the corporate ministry. And aside from that, he would leave the company in about 1999 to 2000. His short time lived career in the WWE hurts him in terms of this tier list, and for that alone, I put him above Mabel but under Owen Hart. And in 1999, we have another winner that isn't really too fondly remembered, as one of his most memorable moments post-King of the Ring wasn't even his promo. It was The Rock, who would make fun of Billy Gunn with the whole "God, it's me, Billy Gunn." And it's really a sour point in his career. He would go on to win the Intercontinental Championship and have a tag team run with Chuck Palumbo in the most infamous gimmicks of Billy and Chuck. Again, they didn't really capitalize on it. It's a questionable call, especially because there was a lot of members of DX in that tournament. But if you're going to have him, X-Pac, Road Dogg in the finals, I mean, yeah, we're going to go in and we're going to put him in the C tier. I don't think it's as bad as Mabel, but it certainly isn't above a C tier. And now we're back on track. In the year 2000, Kurt Angle would win the King of the Ring tournament, capping off one of the greatest Rookie of the Years of all time. He would make his debut at the Survivor Series in November of 99 and would go on to become the European and Intercontinental Champion while also capitalizing on his berth in the King of the Ring tournament. From then, he would win the WWE Championship in November, or rather at No Mercy in October against The Rock. And from then, he would become a perennial main eventer, holding the WWE Championship. He would also hold the United States Championship, Tag Team Championship, and would elevate his own level of standards, not only in ring, but in character. For me, Kurt Angle, for sure, easy S tier, just because of the rapid success that he found after winning that King of the Ring tournament. In 2001, Edge would win the King of the Ring, and very much similar to Triple H. He would win and elevate himself up the mid-card. He would break away from Christian, winning the Intercontinental Championship, get drafted to SmackDown and become a single star, but because of injuries, that would slow his progress along the way, and it wouldn't be until 2005 that he would establish himself as one of the biggest heels in the company's history. In 2006, he would capitalize on this momentum, winning the WWE Championship as well as capturing the World Heavyweight Championship 7 times over. But because of that delay, and because it took him a second to get that level of success, I cannot put him in the S tier. Rather, he will sit next to Hunter Hearst Helmsley in the A tier. And now what might be the most rapid success rate in King of the Ring history, along the likes of a Kurt Angle, we have Brock Lesnar, who had won in 2002. He was initially pushed as the next big thing, defeating the likes of Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan right off the bat. And after winning the King of the Ring in the June month of 2002, he would earn a championship opportunity against The Rock at SummerSlam. He would defeat The Rock, then move on to a program with The Undertaker, and then The Big Show, and then Kurt Angle. Since then, Brock Lesnar has never found himself in the mid-card. He has always been competing for a World Heavyweight Championship and fighting against the likes of John Cena, fighting against the likes of Triple H, The Undertaker, as I mentioned, always facing top talent. Brock Lesnar had a meteoric rise, and it was ridiculous to see how hard they had pushed him. For that, S tier, probably the easiest S tier of those four. This next one's a kind of a personal favorite of mine because I was in attendance for Judgment Day 2006, so I saw the finals of that year's King of the Ring where Booker T would defeat Bobby Lashley. Now, as I mentioned, this is solely focused on what they were able to achieve after winning the tournament itself, which is why I can't take into consideration Booker T's 5 world championships prior to his King of the Ring win. Rather, we will look at how he was able to win the tournament and then in July win the World Heavyweight Championship, and then following that, he would hold on to the title during the fall. And in 2007, he would have a feud against Kane. He would also feud with Triple H during the summer. But he was really only with the company for a little over than a year following his King of the Ring win. And after that, he would join TNA Wrestling and then rejoin the WWE in a part-time based role, really primarily with commentating. So after that, this really was a King of the Ring win in the twilight of his career and giving him one last World Championship run. I do think based on the character work alone, it propels him over the likes of a Ken Shamrock, of a Billy Gunn, and a Mabel for sure. But if we're going off of character work, I have to line him up with an Owen Hart. He didn't sustain a lot of success because he would win that World Heavyweight Championship and then following that found himself in 2007's mid-card. I think it's a fair assessment. I think in terms of just the portrayal of the gimmick, he's up there with one of the greatest of all time. But if we're following the level of success after winning the tournament, I have to put him about the B tier. And now we've hit that point in the King of the Ring where it's the modern winners, where it's really just mid-card guys. It's hard for me to place these guys high enough because they didn't really do much with them. For example, in 2008, William Regal would win the event. I think it's the right call because it put a fresh coat of paint on William Regal, who was already an aging veteran. But because of issues behind the scenes and him leading to suspensions, they really couldn't capitalize on that momentum. He would have, the position of the general manager for a time being, but again, couldn't stay out of trouble behind the scenes. Again, I think he's one of the best portrayals of King of the Ring, but all he had to his name was an Intercontinental Championship reign afterwards. And it wouldn't be that long until he was either off TV or taking the role of an authority member at NXT. So for that, I'm going to go ahead and put William Regal at the C tier, somewhere between Billy Gunn and Ken Shamrock. In 2010, Sheamus would win the tournament. Now, he was already a two-time WWE champion, but following that tournament win, he would fight for the U.S. Championship against Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 27, and it wouldn't be another year, WrestleMania 28, where he would win the World Heavyweight Championship. So again, a little bit of a slight delay in terms of the push after the King of the Ring, but he did find himself relatively at the top of the card more times than not. So for me, Sheamus, because of that Celtic Warrior gimmick and because of the winning success in terms of championships as well as storylines that he was involved in, I can go ahead and I can put him in the B tier. 2015, Wade Barrett would become King Barrett, and aside from his run with the League of Nations in 2016, I can't even tell you that much. This is another instance where he would win the tournament in 2015, and by the time we hit 2016, he was already gone from the company. I think it was the right call for him to win the tournament, but they didn't do anything with him. And now that we reached kind of the more modern years of the King of the Ring, it becomes real easy to go ahead and place these guys at near the bottom of the tier. In 2019, Baron Corbin would win the King of the Ring, and this was the span where Baron Corbin was all over WWE programming. He had a feud with Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch at that time. He would then move on to a feud with Roman Reigns, and the Baron Corbin gimmick it didn't do it for me. I was never a fan of Baron Corbin unless if he was in NXT. That original run in NXT and his latest run in NXT really help his case in terms of this tier list. But because of what he was able to achieve following this tournament, I do believe Baron Corbin is going to be sitting right next to Mabel in the D tier. Finally, we reached the most recent winner in 2021, Xavier Woods winning the tournament. I love Xavier Woods. Let me preface that. But I feel like a lot of people have that same sentiment where they feel that this win was kind of given to Xavier Woods as a way to appease his dream of winning King of the Ring. We all know Big E and Kofi Kingston, his team members in the New Day, were able to achieve a great level of success, not only in the mid-card, but they would win the WWE Championship. And as of this recording, I do not see Xavier Woods ever winning a world championship. That's no disrespect to him. That's no disrespect to his level of talent. But just his character and how they present him, it would really be hard to believe that he would be a world champion. Now, with that being said, there are other wrestlers who had a gimmick at one point that would lead you to believe they would never win a world title either. But following his King of the Ring win, I think one of the more notable moments of his reign was Roman Reigns, and how Roman Reigns took the crown away and he stomped on it. And aside from that, he didn't win any mid-card titles. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe there was multiple tag team reigns. I think it was just a way to appease and just give him this little treat, like, hey, here's the King of the Ring tournament. And for that, we're going to end this tier list with another member on the D tier. And it hurts me to do that to Xavier Woods because that's my boy. I love Xavier Woods. But as it stands right now, this is the tier list. We have Bret Hart, Stone Cold, Kurt Angle, and Brock Lesnar in the S tier. In the A tier, we have Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Edge. B tier is Booker T, Owen Hart, and Sheamus. In the C tier, Ken Shamrock, William Regal, Billy Gunn, and Wade Barrett. And finally, in our D tier, Mabel, Baron Corbin, and Xavier Woods. Now, my tier list isn't the correct list. It's solely based on my opinion. If you guys have a differing opinion regarding the markings of how this tier list has made out, please feel free to go ahead and comment down below where you guys would have someone. Did I have someone too high or someone too low? Either way, it's my list, like I mentioned, and I would love to have a conversation with you guys regarding some of the best King of the Ring winners of all time. Now, with all that being said, please also feel free to drop down your predictions for this weekend's King of the Ring event, as well as who you think will win the Queen of the Ring tournament as well. And with that being said, my name is Jose Ramos Jr. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe in order to stay up to date with all the pro wrestling content that I produce. And I'll see you guys in the next video.